I remember running up and down. People are like writing notes. They're looking at their stuff. They've got note cards. And I am jogging up and down the Javits Center. From the Vox Media Podcast Network, I'm Rabina Sun, and this is Project Swagger, your transformation toolkit. On today's episode, we are talking about my pre-performance protocol. I just recently raced Hyrox in Miami, and it got me thinking what I do physically and mentally before a big moment. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So starting 48 hours before, up to 5 minutes before, I'm going to walk you through the steps of how I get my body and mind race ready. And this protocol is not something that is only related to a strength or a running race or even a workout. You can use this for a big business meeting. You can use this for a big life moment. We're going to talk about the physical embodiment of preparation that is actually going to allow you to show up to the meeting, to the tough conversation, to the test, feeling like you are ready to roll. 48 hours before a big moment or a big race for me, I am really dialing in my AM and PM routines as well as my meal prep and my sleep. So funnily enough, 2 days before a race or a big moment are more important than the night before. The night before, your sleep is probably going to be disturbed, either because you were traveling, you were nervous, you were anxious. That I put less pressure on. I've run full marathons, full ultra marathons on a crummy night's sleep. But the 2 nights before or the 3 nights before, I'm really trying to lock in my traditional AM and PM routine. So let's say I raced on a Friday. My Wednesday night is what I'm really trying to focus on, getting to bed early, wearing my red light glasses, eliminating any white light, putting my phone in grayscale, reading before bed, and meal prep. So I'm usually going to prep the meals that I know I'm going to need to sustain my energy for the next few days. So that 48 hours before, I'm literally going to be putting food in tins. And I do this even when I'm going to be home because I don't want to be put in a scenario where I don't have enough fuel and energy to think clearly and to make choices that are gonna make me feel like my most confident self. Nobody wants to feel like they're running late to a meeting and then you're just grabbing whatever's in the kitchen. 24 hours before. This is when the nerves are probably getting a little bit higher. And again, I am relying on routine. I'm also paying attention to the things that I need to feel prepared. Are there notes? For a race, I'm kind of using my visualization exercises and really getting into that contemplative space. If it's for a meeting or a business opportunity or a speaking engagement, I'm literally reviewing my notes. Like, am I prepared? And that preparedness is going to give you more confidence in the moment when the nerves feel like they're running off the rails, which is totally human, by the way. It just means that you care. You don't know if you're going to be the smartest person in the room or the fastest person in the room, but you can control if you're the most prepared. I should mention, 24 hours before, I'm also laying out my clothes for race day. I'm getting my food, my snacks, literally out. I'm packing my race bag. This would apply if you're going to a meeting, like you're literally packing the bag that you're bringing with you to the meeting, making sure you have your notebook, making sure that the PowerPoint is ready, all these little things. 1 hour before the race. This is when I'm usually having my final snack. And I really highly recommend for things that are cognitively challenging, even if they're not physically challenging, please fuel, please hydrate. You need to be physically present. 1 hour before, I'm also starting my warm-up. And I think that the physical warm-up, obviously for a race, might look different than sitting in a conference room, but you do want to be physically embodied, especially if you have been sitting all day. So even if I'm not preparing physically for a race, I'm probably going to stand up even in the bathroom, adjacent to the meeting, and I'm going to get in my superhero power stance. I'm going to take some deep breaths. I'm going to try to pump myself up physically to remind myself that I'm full of physical and mental power. So that kind of turns your nervous system online and it builds up your confidence. 5 minutes before, This is usually when I'm trying to calm myself down, and I'll deepen my breath work, listen to music. Those 5 minutes before are really critical to tuning into the right self-talk. This is where you do not let that inner critic drive the car. You need to make sure that the person who is driving the car, the loudest voice in between your ears, is the powerful one, is the one that is establishing who you want to be and how you want to feel going into that environment. And sometimes those 5 minutes before I will start to link that self-talk to a visualization of how I want to feel or who I want to be. Obviously, this is very helpful in race environments. I will literally start to speak to myself in a helpful and powerful way, and then start to envision myself doing the activity, right? And so I'm envisioning myself doing wall balls, pushing a sled, running fast, and feeling composed in those really tough moments. And then in the moment, I just try to focus on the next action. In the moment, I try to focus on where my feet are, and it's not visualization anymore. It's not future casting. It's not imaginary. It's real. And I literally look down at my feet, and I'm like, this is it. You are where your feet are. Let's freaking go. I would recommend that you play with it. It's kind of obviously a very insular experience, looking out of your own two eyes and widening the scope and narrowing the scope and feeling like, viscerally, how can I take in my environment and be where I am, even if it's that seated in a room with a pen in my hand, ready to, be a participant in a meeting. These are the things that I kind of have habitualized and ritualized. And I started to do this actually in earnest, like before taking the New York City bar exam. So if the bar exam in New York City is at the Javits Center. The Javits Center is also where I've picked up every single New York City bib for the New York City Marathon. It's where I took the bar exam, and I spent 3 days in the Javits Center. So I have had many more than I've really, now only in reflecting, do I realize how many times I've had moments at the Javits Center where I've been kind of jogging up and down the Javits Center to shake out nerves. Specifically for the bar exam, I remember running up and down the Javits Center, it's cavernous. It takes up many city blocks. And people looking at me, people are writing notes. They're looking at their stuff. They've got note cards. And I am jogging up and down the Javits Center simply to physically get my nerves out. And that was during that 1 hour warm-up period. I needed to, jog it out. And it was probably only 5 minutes, but it allowed me to physically turn physically jog my nerves out and turn my mind on. And that enabled me to focus. And I passed the bar, so it worked.
When you were picking up your bib, were you like, I've been here before?
Oh my God.
Not the scariest?
The first time I walked in to pick up my New York City bib, I had been practicing law for a few years then, and I had this flood of emotion because obviously it's a few days before the New York City Marathon, you're nervous. But then I had this reassurance of remembering baby Robin taking the bar exam in the Javits Center. You're about to pick up your bib. Both of them were really new, scary, high stakes experiences. But I remembered the physical feeling of being scared and doing it anyway.
Hell yeah. Love it.
So I wanted to leave you with something concrete that you could listen to in those few minutes before the big moment. And I'm going to read to you a script that I have created from my journal. And if you are comfortable, maybe you even close your eyes, get yourself somewhere where you feel safe and ready to ground down, and maybe even slow the audio for this because I really want you to take it in. Lock in. This is not the time to question yourself. This is the time to trust what you built. You are not underprepared. You are not behind. You are ready. When it gets hard, and it will, that's not a stop sign. That's the doorway. No negotiation, no shrinking, no second guessing. You don't have to do everything. You just have to do the next thing. One rep, one step, one breath, stay in it. Now, repeat after me. I am ready. I do hard things. I stay in it. I finish what I start. Again, I am ready. I do hard things. I stay in it. I finish what I start. Crown on. Go. Let's get to some questions. First voicemail is from Jared. Hi, Jared.
When you were first starting out in your healthcare journey, or even now, how do you distinguish like the feeling like I need to work out every day, I need to do something every day, versus like it's okay to take a rest day? I know I struggle with that. Just the feeling of like, nope, I need to do a ride every day, or I need to do yoga or something, and I'm not allowed to have really a day off from doing some type of activity like that. How do you manage those, or some good alternatives or ideas you have or advice that you have or feelings you have towards those? I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. And this is such an important topic. And I actually think the discipline to have the confidence to take a rest day shows the true maturity of an athlete. And it took me years to realize that. And I still have to kind of busy myself sometimes on rest days to not have that pull to do too much. And knowing scientifically that you will become a stronger athlete by giving your tissues and nervous system time to recover, repair, and get stronger, we know that intellectually. But we feel like we're going to be behind or lose that momentum if we take one day with our foot off the gas. I think those are the perfect days to plan something that you like that isn't working out. For me, it's like watching a movie with my kids or going for a picnic in the park or reading a book. Like oftentimes, actually, I will specifically order a new book to start on Sunday when I normally take my rest days. And that will be my carrot. It's like, no, girl, you don't need to do another run. You don't need to do another ride. You don't need to lift another weight. Just pick up this random romantasy book about dragons and you can do that for a little bit. And that takes a lot of discipline. And it also takes a lot of maturity as an athlete to know that that is not breaking a link in the chain. That's actually enabling you to come back even stronger. And sometimes we do have to play those games with ourselves where, we're planning something that isn't a workout that kind of distracts us from the reality that we're not doing a workout. I've been there, and I totally get it. But on those days, just focus on getting some casual steps and come back stronger tomorrow.
Hey, Robin, it's Danny. Thank you for being such an inspiration. One question I do have, though, is do you have a guilty pleasure that allows you to kind of step back and give you that freedom to unwind? And also, what your current day in the life looks like spending time with your kids, because that is something I also struggle with. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for your question. I like this question about guilty pleasures because I don't feel guilty for any of my pleasures. I think that kind of frames it in a way that you should feel bad about it. I love a rom-com. I love Hallmark movies. My Hallmark movies start in like July, baby. There's no shame in my game. I don't watch a ton of TV, but when I do, it's usually like very indulgent in that regard. I love weekends with my kids. It's playtime. I just try to meet them where they are and usually like me sitting on the floor is going to be, I'm in their world because they're still small and I'm at their eye level and it's just like, where are we going? What are we doing? And it doesn't take that long, I've realized, in their world for them to feel like, oh, wow, I feel seen. And I am of the mindset that I let my kids be bored. I'm not a camp director. I'm not a kindergarten teacher. God bless those of you who are. So when we're home, it's like, oh, you want to rock with me? Yeah, we're going to Whole Foods. We're walking to the park. We're running errands. Like, I need new sneakers. Let's go get them. And that time is still time together. And we always have a good soundtrack going. Kitchen dance parties are regular in my house every morning, every night. Like, pretty much every day of the week. Keep your calls coming. I love to hear from y'all. 1-877-ALL-SWAG. For this week's edit, you have asked for tips on traveling with kids. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and we just recently took them on their longest flights ever from New York City to Hawaii. So it was quite a journey. My husband and I were like, I'm so nervous before this trip. Like, how are we going to do it? They did great. I'm going to say right off the bat, my husband and I have no issue with our kids being on screens on planes. But we were nervous. And in Hawaii, when we set foot in Hawaii, it was like, no screens, go out and play, hug a palm tree, like absolutely not. But the funniest challenge in Hawaii was keeping my 2-year-old's clothing on. So I didn't realize I was raising a little nature boy. Like, he set foot in Hawaii and he's like, what do you mean I am required to wear clothing at the pool? Like, he didn't understand. It took a full 7 days of being at the pool most of the day, every single day, for him to finally understand why certain items of clothing are required in public. So I can't wait to tell that story at his, high school graduation. But we had half the photos that we took on the trip are unusable, are illegal for posting on social media, because he was just free as a bird out there. I was like, Moana is not going to invite you over unless you have your swim trunks on. Like, he didn't get it. But that ended up being the toughest part of the trip, which is great because it's hilarious. The travel was actually okay. The travel part of it was okay. So here are some tips that I wrote down traveling with kids, and I would love to hear yours as well. Keep a semblance of a routine. Even small things like traveling in pajamas helps keep them in some type of routine. So, obviously with time zones and things, that's going to get a little tricky, but we try to, we brought their toothbrush for the evening flight. We had them in pajamas. I bring bento boxes of snacks. I really like the bento box because they can kind of open the different areas and it doesn't get everywhere. And then, of course, a million activities. So each kid has their own backpack filled with their own snacks and their own stuff, and every individual in the family is responsible for carrying their own bag. I made that super clear to Athena and Atlas. You don't carry your bag, it doesn't come on the plane. Like, I'm kind of hardcore. So everybody carries their own stuff. And in that bag that they helped me pack, so I invite them into the story, right? It's like, what do you want to bring onto the plane? They help select some of the activities and things, so they've got some skin in the game. So I got things like magnetic puzzles, sticker books where the sticker actually isn't gonna, the sticker only sticks to like the book itself, not like, we're not covering United and random unicorn stickers. And then I think the biggest thing that I brought with me was mindset, to release perfection. Expect chaos. Expect chaos. My husband and I went into this experience thinking this is going to be a disaster and we're just going to control what we can control. And it ended up being wonderful. You're more self-conscious than everybody else about your kids on the plane. Of course, you don't want to make it a nightmare for anybody else, so you're trying to be, as respectful to the environment as possible, but give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. The majority of folks on that flight have either experienced something with kids or, have an intellectual understanding that this is a temporary moment and we're going to get through it together. But give yourself a whole lot of grace and try to think of the memories that you're going to be creating when you get to the other side, like trying to keep swim trunks on your toddler. That's the edit for today. Thank you all so much for joining me for today's episode of Project Swagger.